Hi crafty friends, it's Carla from Creative Love Affair, and I'm here today with Wild Whisper's new May collection, World's Best, and I'm going to show you a box card I made for Mother's Day. So I started off by cutting a sheet of cardstock to 8.5 by 12, and then I'm going to score it at 2 3/4, 5.5, 8 1/4, and 11 inches. So that's along the 12-inch side. Then I'm turning it and I'm going to cut off a 2-inch strip, and this will leave a 6.5 by 12-inch piece of cardstock for my base for my card. I've got it lengthwise now, and I'm scoring at 2 3/4. And then I'm going to cut the flap lines for the box. So I'm cutting them along the edge that is shorter than the box. So the flaps are going to be a little bit shorter than the box. So you can see this side that I'm cutting it on, and I'm just cutting right along the score lines. And then along that 1-inch score, I'm cutting that right off to leave a little tab, and I just angled that cut so I can attach the box. Now I'm cutting the strip of 2-inch cardstock at 4 3/4, and then turning it and cutting it at 1 inch. Now you can faintly see there's a little score line on each end, and that's going to be your insert. I use some edge punches to decorate the edges of the flaps, and just give it a little bit of a feminine look because this one is a Mother's Day card. And then I've cut some pieces of cardstock and pattern paper from the beautiful World's Best collection. Now this collection can apply to Mother's Day and Father's Day cards, or layouts and projects, but it has amazing spring colors in it, and you could definitely use it for anything that you wanted to. And I love that the colors always coordinate with the previous collections, so everything really you can mix and match. I just sized up my squares so that they fit on the flaps, and if you didn't do an edge punch, or if you did a different one, it might be a little bit different dimension, but as long as you kind of lay your paper down and pencil mark where you want it to go, then you can get your borders how you would like them. So I just put a thin border, and I've shown before that I love that at the bottom of the pattern papers there's a little color palette, and before I start I always go grab some cardstocks that are in that palette. Now I'm going to use the beautiful stamp set that comes with this collection that I just showed you there. The stamps are really well made. They're clear, and they just stick to the acrylic block. I love that little loopy border strip. And here I'm stamping on some Versamark leaves. So it's a little leaf pattern that's in the stamp set. And then I'm using the Northern Lights embossing powder from Emerald Creek, and you can get that in the Wild Whisper store, and using my heat gun to emboss the image. And it's really nice and shiny. It comes up beautifully, this embossing powder, with a little bit of weight to it. And then I recently had got some Jane Davenport mermaid markers, which are beautiful watercolor markers. They're a brush pen. You can do brush lettering with them, and they watercolor beautifully. I'm not using watercolor paper, so they're not going to blend out as much as if you were using watercolor paper, but I stamped right on the pattern paper, and it still does blend that a bit, and I just wanted a really soft look, so this worked perfectly. And then I'm just doing the little berries, and of course you could do this in whatever color scheme you wanted. and then I trim it out, and I'm going to use these inside my box card. So here I'm stamping on some of the keys and locks that are in the stamp set. And I do like stamping with, I've used some distress ink there, but I do like having sometimes a base of color just in case the embossing powder doesn't get all over everything. So Erica wanted to help me there, so you can see her little fingers. So we've got the awesome locks and keys. I really love the stamp set, the vintage look, and I love too that, I mean, you could use this for anything. And I've got some of the weathered wood embossing powder as well. Really like this. This is one of my favorites. And it has some white flecks in the wood and just gives a really neat effect. And then I just fussy cut those out. And I love the shine that the embossing powder gives to it. So now I'm going to use another one of the stamps here and stamp on the World's Best Mom. And I've just kind of positioned it so that I can get everything layered the way I want. And I like the fact that I can kind of go over it a couple times. So I've layered on several stamps and edged with some distress ink around the edges. And now I'm making a little sentiment sign to kind of put inside the card that pops up as well. And stamping some images on that too. I love that everything sentiment. It's really great, and you could use it in so many instances. Even, you know, like a anniversary card for your spouse, that would be very nice as well. And yeah, just very nice, kind sentiment. Now I decorated the side flaps with those locks and keys, and then I'm making the card, putting the card together. So just by attaching that flap to the opposite side of the box, and here's those little pieces that go on the inside. And I used Scor tape, but I also added a little bit of Tacky Glue just to make sure everything stays stuck. And you can see how the card is going to fold shut and be able to be put in an envelope because it can simply just shut by pushing it sideways. There's that beautiful everything sentiment. And I've added some die cuts throughout using the pattern paper. I wanted to bring in some purple, so it was really nice. There's some beautiful purple in this collection as well. And I die cut the little crown because on the patterned paper that says World's Best Mom, it has Queen, and on the dad one it says King. And I'm just layering in my little cutout pieces. I actually cut out some flowers from the Focus on You collection. I wanted to add a little bit of florals in, and I added that fussy cut stamp piece, which I really like. And these keys are beautiful. They're wood veneer key, and they came out with this collection as well. And here's some little heart cork confetti and the gold heart sequins. So I grabbed some other sequins from my collection. Now this was some of the Focus on You collection sequins, and I'm not sure that they're in the store anymore, but there's lots of beautiful sequins to choose from. And I've linked the store below so you can have a look at all the beautiful options. Here's a few more images I've fussy cut from the paper and stamp, and I tuck everything in there until I kind of get it the way I want. And here's a look at the finished card. I really love how this turned out, and I even went ahead and made a Father's Day card with a similar collection look, but just using different parts of it. So I hope you've enjoyed having a look at this, And thanks so much for joining me today. I'd love for you to like and subscribe and check out the Wild Whisper blog for lots of close-ups and all the details. Have a great day.